Simo, what's been the vibe around the club this week?
Better than previous weeks. Albeit, obviously we didn't win, but the performance was better. I thought we saw a glimpse of the future as well, so that was promising. And that's what our fans want to see. So not having the win, though, that hurt a little bit, but the things around it that we liked with our younger players, and then our senior players leading the way as well. That's sort of the expectation we were hoping for.
How did Jeremy McGovern pull up from training yesterday?
Fine, yeah, he's good.
So he's right to play this week?
Yep.
How do you go just on the performance on Sunday? How do you sort of go about backing that up with a younger squad? Because there's been times this year against Collingwood and Port where, for instance, where you have shown those good signs but just haven't quite been able to replicate it the following week.
That's our challenge, isn't it? For a young group coming through to get consistency. So not just in a game, but in quarters at the moment. So it's a pretty big ask this week. So we're looking forward to the challenge. It's a big one, and you know we're missing a couple, and we get a couple back. So that's exciting too.
And as far as road trips in the AFL go, probably not much tougher than Brisbane at the Gabba. How's the overall mood amongst the squad? Is it excitement, a little bit of nerves? How's the feel?
I suspect the older guys know what's in front of them with the travel and the flights and that sort of stuff. But the young guys don't care; they just want to play. So I suppose on the weekend what we did see is the young players, their ability to express themselves, almost have the freedom to play on instinct and all those type of things. So I think that's the thing we'll encourage again this week, and we'll get to see how some of those guys go against some really good A-grade players and against probably the best side in the competition on their home deck.
Tom Cole, in your injury report, was listed as being able to play some minutes this weekend. Can you inform us where that'll be?
He'll be a sub this week.
Are you confident if you need him early on, if something does unfortunately?
I wouldn't play him if we didn't. So we're good.
How do you feel at the moment, Simo, after last week's performance? Do you personally feel a bit more at ease?
In what sense?
Well, you sort of had a bit of a smile on your face when you answered the question about the younger guys standing up. Do you feel like, you've been saying the last couple of weeks, we're working towards something. Do you feel like, we actually, thank God we finally saw it?
Not personally. It's not. It doesn't really, we can win by 10 goals and we'll still be on the same trajectory. It's not going to be linear. So but getting reward for a bit of effort and work rate and commitment for the players, I think it's the main thing that probably gives you a bit more, solace that we're on the right track. But it's not going to be just okay, away we go. So we saw some good signs with our younger players. We like that. Hopefully we get it again this week.
The pressure that was applied in that first half against the Saints and sort of the intensity of the contest, is that sort of the standard now, sort of setting for the remainder of the season?
I think that's the competition standard. Yeah. So can we get to that standard and maintain it? That's the challenge for a younger group and for some of our senior players who've been a little bit down, but their ability to lead during the week was really important last week. It was obviously a pretty heavy week with the Sydney game coming off that and then the Adelaide game before that. So how they dealt with that, I was pretty proud of what they did, just how they led. And then what they did on the ground was, it was a pretty solid performance, but it wasn't good enough. Like the second half, it was 16 shots to 6, something like that. So we're not delusional, but we're glad we got a bit of reward for effort in the first half in particular.
How is Jack Darling's shoulder?
I think he's fine. Yeah, he's playing, so he'll be right to go.
What was the message to the players post game? Because like you mentioned, had the lead, let it slip away, particularly in that third term. Just what was the overriding message?
Well, we probably spoke a little bit of strategy because that's not something we've been talking a lot about of late. So just a bit of the technical side of the game and how we can get better at some of those things. It looked like we ran out of legs a little bit. Some of our younger players put in a fair bit of effort in the first 3 quarters. And the game does change, the momentum changed. So how do we adapt in that space is something that in the past we've been pretty good at it. We've probably stripped everything back a little bit and tried to just be predictable and consistent rather than strategic. So and we'll stay on that path.
And what is it that you're hoping to get out of the remaining games this season? Obviously, blooding through a lot of young blokes this season, but what's the
It'd be good to get some players back. We're not going to play Shannon this week or Luke. They're put up really sore, so we're going to have to not play them. That's a 6-day break, travel, and they couldn't train yesterday. And yeah, it's just too short of a turnaround. So, we lose a couple of senior players, but we get Kelly and McGovern back. So we've been doing that for a bit. We've got 2 guys playing waffle again, 2 NGA boys. So that's just a battle. So it'd be good in the next 8 weeks to get some players back, strengthen our waffle Eagles a little bit, and continue to put some games into our younger players, and maybe a bit of match committee pressure would be a good thing as well. It's been pretty difficult to do that as well.
Unfortunately, there was the story about the photos being leaked in the Dropbox of allegedly AFL footballers. Do you have a reaction to that story at all?
I just wouldn't give it any oxygen. I can't believe we're talking about it publicly and giving it more attention.
Is the club doing anything for people who may be affected by the leak?
I'm not going to comment on it. I just don't want to give it any one bit of oxygen. Just put yourself in their shoes.